Well, I just had an interesting question come in today, and it's probably one of the more interesting questions that I've had come in a while. And it said, what type of business do I start? And I'm sitting there thinking, well, if you don't know what type of business that you want to start, then you really do have a long ways to go to get to starting a business. I have found that life experiences is usually where you start your businesses. Well, in my particular case, when I was a young man, I worked in 11, 12 years old as a runaway. I worked inside of a garden center. And obviously, I ultimately moved into a landscaping company, and the landscaping company moved into, believe it or not, jumping straight from landscaping into restaurant. So my life experience is what brought me to what type of business that I ultimately wanted to move in. Now, there are some that are more profitable than others. There's some that have limitations that you're never going to make the kind of money that you might dream to make, but they might make you happy. But let me give you some illustrations. I have friends of mine that are in landscape. Let's just say landscaping. They're in the landscaping business. They're successful at the levels that they want to be successful at. They're happy. They're good family men, they're honest people, and they're good people, and they're happy with the incomes they earn. But they'll never earn the incomes of a high sophisticated real estate investor. It's apples and oranges. So when you're trying to choose a business for yourself, I've always heard the old saying, there's a big saying, well, if you, I think, how's it go? If you love what you do, then make it your occupation. Well, I absolutely 100% disagree. Nothing you ever do that's worth doing is a whole lot of fun. Usually it's hard work, it's countless hours, it's tiresome, it's frustrating, it's aggravating. If it's easy, it's wrong. And trust me, I know that. I took the easy route for a lot of years, made a lot of money at it, and it was all wrong. It took me 36 years of business experience to realize that the only way that I was going to be successful was with good, hard, honest work. And so falling into something that you love to do can be great. I know photographers that love to shoot. They love photography. They love shooting and there's some very famous and make a lot of money at it. And those are a few things that you can do that you can love to do and make money at. But I'm sure even at times they're sitting there wondering where their next client's coming from, and it can be mentally frustrating to go through that. So there's no business out there that I could recommend you to move into. What I would say is why don't you try to find something that you do enjoy, that you can learn from, and ultimately create a business out of it. In my particular case, I never dreamed I'd be in the real estate business. As a matter of fact, a good friend of mine tried to get me in it over 20 years ago. He said, Scott, you'd be great in the real estate business. And I just, at that particular time, I wasn't ready to be in the real estate business. My mind wasn't ready. I was still too immature in my business abilities. I didn't understand the processes and the terminologies and the things that I do understand now that's taken years of experience to get to. And you'll find the same things will start happening to you inside your company as you develop. I have a friend of mine who's a writer, and she's beginning her business, and she's she's a great writer, and it's going to take time for her to develop more and more clients so she can expand. But understand that that puts you in a business much like an attorney, where you're working by the hour. So the way to make big money is when you're making money when you're sleeping. You're making money when somebody else is doing, a project or work for you. When you have to do the work yourself, then you're limited to an hourly day. And that is great for a lot of folks in business. That's what they want, is that security of knowing, hey, I'm going to work 40 hours this week, go home, spend the rest of the time with my family and my friends. But understand that in order to be an entrepreneur, which the people that are listening to this video that are entrepreneurs, they surely understand that we don't have 40-hour weeks. Matter of fact, I don't know that I've worked less than 80, 90 hours a week in several years now, 5 or 6 years now. And I love what I do. But to make no mistake, there's many nights I go to bed wishing I had picked a different occupation myself. So, but again, perseverance, waking up the next day with a great attitude, find something that you can earn good income at, and just keep rolling with it, and it'll develop into the business that you want it to be. Don't try to make, you've heard the old saying, can't turn a sow's ear into a silk purse. Don't try to create something that's not there. It'll come to you if you just keep working on it a day-to-day basis, just like ScottLumley.com has come to me, just like Resolve Financials and Resolve Commercials and First Service Construction and all these other entities that we have developed and built together. The new Resolve Suites that are coming out, that's coming out the first year. All these things have developed, just through working every day and creating new ideas and new concepts and seeing them through. And again, one of the most important things is seeing things through. You can have the best business strategy in the world. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of my failure. In 1989 or 90, somewhere in that neighborhood, and I could be off by a few years. I'm getting older, so I forget years. I went to a friend of mine and I said, hey, got a great idea. Let's take these legal documents from lawyers and let's put them online. I'm all the time needing just a contractor. I'm needing just a little something written up, and I've got to go to an attorney, and he's got to pull up a book and type it all out and fill in all my information. And what we need to create online documents. Well, we looked at each other, and about 5 years later, they come out with LegalZoom. And I thought to myself when that happened, I thought, well, there's a perfect example of just not letting something come to you. We didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea how to put this on the internet. It just was something that was beyond us at that time. Had we tried to done it, we would have failed. So let business come to you. It's an important part of being successful. Is not pushing knowing when to push and when to pull back and be smart. So this is my thoughts on what type of business that I think that you should be in, and I think that should be a decision that you need to make upon yourself. You need to make yourself. Have a great evening.